We are recording. Kruger, what's going on?
What's up, man? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Long time no see. Just saw you the other day for the fantasy football draft.
The fantasy football draft that Yahoo gave me a D on. Hey, if anyone out there is looking for a quarterback, I have 3 of the top 7.
And you get a D for that. You think
you would think that they'd sit there and say, well, at least he's going to acquire a lot of points.
You know what? I read the report card that they do.
Yeah.
And they base it off of when you pick people too. So when I entered the team, I just went off the list, and not all of them were in order.
Yep.
So
it makes it look like I picked a kicker in the second round, maybe.
Yeah, because Garrett sent me a text message too, and he said he got a bad grade and his team wasn't projected to do that well. But I like his keepers. I added very last.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, I've talked to some people about my team.
Yeah.
I picked Andre Johnson. You know what the first response from about 4 people about Andre Johnson was? Ooh, he's getting old.
Was it mid-20s?
Yeah, like I thought he was like he was pretty productive last year. Really productive last year. Well, I'm like, am I missing something?
Matt Schaub didn't get drafted.
Yeah, and you've got an average. I would still put Schaub above average, but he's not Tom Brady, or Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Joe Flacco didn't get drafted?
I had to draft Flacco in my other league. No, in my other league.
Oh, your other league? Yeah.
I ended up with Eli and Joe Flacco. Oh, wait, no, who did it?
You took Eli in this league.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll get you 30 points one week, and the next week he'll get you 2.
Yeah, I know. He's inconsistent. But, no, this is podcast number 2, another Tuesday night, August 27th, 2013. I know Dave and I did a podcast over the weekend. Want to touch on a few things for that, but also just big news. We're baseball guys. That's kind of our comfort zone. I had to break out of that comfort zone with Kerwin and talk college football and
Notre Dame. Really got after it.
Oh yeah,
I thought Kerwin was going to know some more guys.
Yeah. I cheated a little bit and did some research, but baseball is our bread and butter. I don't know about you, but the huge news for me the past few days.
Yeah, a couple of days.
Man, Matt Harvey. Young stud going down with an injury. I don't know about you. I hate to see young guys get hurt. It's not good for the game.
It's not, and we spoke about this a little bit off the topic or off the away from the microphone. Is I'm not big into throwing a stud label on guys. I like to see him for a little while, and he's a stud. And you watch him, and when he beat Strasburg early in the year. My question, and this is a question to you, is why are so many pitchers getting hurt?
I was thinking about that today, and I can't give you a good answer because the Rangers seem to let guys. Well, I don't know.
Completely go where you want to go because this is my that's kind of my theory.
You think they're babied?
Yes,
really.
I think they need to throw more. Okay. No, I guess my ultimate question is: you would think with all the technology we'd have. That there be less injuries, or at least a way to say, look, this is how you get injured, this is how you avoid it. But as the years go on, more and more and more and more pitchers, at least I think, are getting hurt or going for Tommy John.
Yes.
I think I do. I truly believe that they're babied.
You think with pitch counts,
counts, even in the minors, I think they're babied a little bit. And I understand, you've got you're starting to give guys a ton of money just for signing draft picks, all that stuff. But I feel like, I believe, why are you babying kids when they're younger? You would think they're a little stronger when they're younger.
Sure.
I bet might not be a great example, but your arm felt a lot better at 22, 23 than at 28, 29, 30, right?
For the most part, yeah. I see. It's funny because freshman year at Winnick, I hurt my elbow, the UCL, and the games are so close together in college. It's like you play 25 games in a month. By the time I was ready to go, it was time for Legion Ball. But it just wasn't. Not that I threw 90. I think I maybe topped out at the mid 80s. Yeah. But after I think I was consistently low 80s. But I think part of the UCL troubles is you and the guys you see going down with them. Matt Harvey has a good build, but he throws hard. Strasburg threw hard, and throwing a baseball is such an unnatural motion. Do you think it has anything to do with how hard you throw?
Yes, actually, it's funny, dealing with the high school kids a lot. One thing that always amazed me is how, and this is more with younger kids as opposed to major leaguers, is how kids, they tear their UCL and they say, oh, I'll be out a year and I'll come back stronger than ever.
After the surgery?
After the surgery. And the way the colleges that they're going to say, oh, he'll be out a year, we'll redshirt him, and he'll come back and he'll be fine.
Does that happen a lot? Do you come across do a lot of your kids, I don't want to say get hurt, because that makes
they do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they do. And it's, I don't know why, but, and I always pose this question, and I talk about it, and one of the parents, just brought it up, and he goes, do you ever think that maybe an 18-year-old kid shouldn't be throwing 88 miles per hour? Just physically.
Yeah.
Should his body not be able to handle that? Should Steven Strasburg at 21 not be able to handle 100 miles per hour? Not just him in general, just the human body.
Sure.
And I think that's part of it, but I still think kids don't. I think it's so much on weight lifting and strength and conditioning. What happened to just going out and throwing?
Long toss.
Long toss, yeah.
Air it out.
Yeah.
Get it up there. I don't know.
It's just, for me, it's concerning. Look, you never want to see guys go down left and right.
It's not good for the game.
No.
Especially I don't want to say I feel bad for the Mets because.
Well, that's the first thing you said. You said, no, they got this stud, and of course he's going to get hurt. It's the Mets.
Did you see the video footage of John Buck, who got traded today, by the way?
Yep.
But did you see him in the dugout?
No.
Like the 7th or 8th inning last night of the game. Matt Harvey's got like his hood on. He's got a lip in.
Yeah.
And he just looks down. He's in the dugout. And Buck kind of looks at him and just puts his arm around him and pulls him close.
Yeah.
And just like rubs his head. Like doesn't say anything. Just looks at him like, dude, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I guess sucks, but you could tell. Something that I don't think people really understand, and I don't understand either because I never had to have surgery and rehab. But the rehab for these guys,
it's intense.
They make a lot of money and they play a kid's game, but man, you are by yourself. I'll never forget watching the ESPN had some kind of behind the scenes thing with the Celtics.
Yep.
Following them throughout the season.
Yep.
I don't know what year it was. Oh, well, it was the year Perkins was coming back from the knee surgery, and I remember seeing
it was that
him.
association show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was waking up early, dead of winter, driving to the court.
He's driving
himself,
at 5 in the morning in the dark.
Cold gym. You gotta really love what you do.
And with the Tommy John, just as an example, it's a rigorous rehab, but it's very, hey, week 1 this is this, week 2 this is this, week 3 this is it, and you can't sit there you legitimately week 1 have to throw out 50%, and you can't sit there and say, well, I feel good, so I'm going to pump it up. No, you can't.
Self-restraint.
Yeah, so it's tough, and it's got to be tough for guys who, Harvey seems like a really big competitor. For him to sit there and have to throw at 50%, it's almost kind of embarrassing.
No, yeah, I agree with you. The good thing, I don't know how old Harvey is. I'm going to guess early to mid-20s.
I think he's like 23, 24.
So, like you said, in all honesty, all right, I think that it's almost, they're in a weird, I don't know how it goes in the surgical world, but I feel like it would have been almost better if he just tore it completely.
Well, and that's the first thing I said to you.
They're stuck in between now.
Yeah, that's the first thing I said to you is, as much as you don't want to say it, you don't want to say it's better, but the recovery rate on Tommy John, you might as well just say, hey, let's get the surgery done, and we can start the rehab now as opposed to trying to get him juiced up for next year, and then he hurts it in April, and then it's another year from April 2014.
Do you think they...
Because let's be honest, the Mets aren't going anywhere in the next year. They could be in the future, but...
Yeah. Do you think, a serious question, do you think they have him go throw like another bullpen on the side to tear it completely and then have the surgery? Or can you just do the surgery with like...
I would imagine you can do the surgery.
I heard somebody say today a partial tear of the UCL, I think it was Scott Boras.
Yeah.
He said it's anywhere between 5 and 95% tear or something like that. So it could be a 10% tear, it could be a 90% tear. I just, in the medical world, I wonder how that works.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they got a second opinion, third, fourth, fifth, sixth opinion, and someone said, yeah, you should have it.
Yeah. Yeah, they could always do that. I think he came out and said he wants to do everything he can.
I saw a tweet. I don't follow him, but it was retweeted by MLB that said, I plan to be back April 1st. I plan to be starting opening day next year, which is, nice to hear if you're a Mets fan.
The worst thing that could happen is rehab, come back April 1st.
Blow it out.
Blow it out, then you have the surgery, because then you're just, but, did you see him in ESPN, the magazine, by the way, when they did the nude thing?
Yeah,
The guy's in good shape.
Yeah, he's very good shape.
Yeah, he takes care of himself, so that's kind of the hot topic around, well, not in the non-Red Sox world, I guess, this week. Sox have a huge series going on with Baltimore right now. I think they have a 1.5 game lead on Tampa in the East. I think the Orioles are like 5.5 back.
Orioles are 5.5 back, and the Yankees are 7.5 back.
Okay, Baltimore's been the last few years have been a pest.
Well, that's what they were talking about. The pregame is they've kind of been the thorn in their side. If they didn't. They might have single-handedly led to the collapse of the 2011 Red Sox.
Yeah. Cost a lot of people their jobs.
It did. And I'm not buying into the Orioles this year.
No. Why not?
I don't think they have the pitching.
Closers.
Bullpen, period. I think last year, you look at what happened with them last year, they won like 3 games.
I can't remember.
They didn't have one pitcher win more than 9 games. Jason Hamill was out the month of September, and he led the team in wins.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
They won an unreal amount of one-run games.
Which this year, I saw a stat the other day.
They're the complete opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and I've said this about multiple teams. How many times can you go to the well?
Yep.
And I'll use this example because my dad's a New York Giants fan, and at the end of last year football, he said, I think they're going to get in. I said, they're not getting in. He goes, give me one reason. I said, there's only so many times you can go to the well.
Yep.
So in 2007, they got in on the last day, won the Super Bowl. 2011, they got in the last day, won the Super Bowl. There's only so many times you can play with fire and it works out for you.
Yeah.
And I'll use the Red Sox. 2004, they come back and beat the Yankees. 2007, they come back 3-1 down to beat the Indians. 2008, they come all the way back to Game 7 and lose.
Yep.
There's only so many times you can play with that,
Sometimes I feel like I got the feeling with the Bruins this year, like with the Maple Leafs game when they were down 4-1 or 3-1 in the third period and they came back. Once you do that, it could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
It could go right or left. You could either be on top of the world and just break down all the walls and just foot on the pedal and not look back, or you go the other path and what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So you get into this comfort zone where, all right, it's the last period, it's the last quarter.
We're going to find a way to come back. It's going to happen.
The switch, turning the switch on, and I don't think you can do that. I think with sports, with work, especially where I'm in sales, you don't keep that switch on all the time.
Yeah.
You can't turn it off, Diet, exercise. Once you turn that switch off, you can't just randomly turn it back on.
I'll tell you, look, the Orioles, I certainly don't think they're going to fall off the map. I think they'll be there, but the Rays have been the team that have kind of always scared me just because they can pitch, man. They can pitch. And Matt Moore coming back.
Yeah. I think he's slated to start on the 3rd.
Yeah.
September 3rd or something.
And I think it was you that brought this up. Do you think they just kind of gave him a little rest, shut him down a little bit?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe he had a little nagging something and said, hey, look, it's not as bad as this is going to seem, but we'd like to shut you down for a little while.
That very well could be the case.
God knows they have the depth,
Well, I was reading today one of the topics I wrote down, Jeremy Hellickson, 5.21 ERA this year in 27 starts.
Yeah, he struggled.
Got sent down to the minors today.
Did he really? I didn't see that.
I think it was like high Class A. I don't know what the situation is with the minors. I don't know who's still playing and who's not. But he got sent.
I think it has to do with how close they are. I think they're Class A teams in Florida, so it was easy for them to just send him there.
Yeah, he got sent down, which last year, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't look up his stats, but he had a pretty competitive, pretty good year, and I didn't realize he had an ERA over 5 this year.
Yeah,
in 27 starts, which begs the question too. I know in his last 5 games or something, he had an ERA over 9, or he has had an ERA over 9, but why not send him down at start 20 or 21? Why 27? I feel like the magic number for pitchers is like 35.
Yeah.
So he's almost at 35. Like, what's the point?
Might as well stick with him.
Are they going to send him down to work out of the bullpen? I mean, I don't know.
Especially you're 4 days away from rosters expanding.
Yeah.
You can go to 40 guys. You figure you can just keep them there, and if you want to spot start someone or they still scare me. Well, that's easy to say because they're the closest, but
see, I'll be honest with you. The Rays don't. I'm not afraid of the Rays. I'm not afraid of playing the Rays. I'm not really afraid of the Orioles. Bother me for some reason because they're just these nagging little pests.
Yep.
The Yankees don't scare me anymore. I had a little panic. Dempster hits Rodriguez, and I felt like that was going to light him on fire, and it woke him up a little bit. But I'm not really afraid of anyone in the AL East. When you get into the Detroits, when you get into the Texas, even Oakland can be a little bit pesty. That's when I start to get a little nervous. But I do like this Red Sox team.
This team, I think this team has. I've said World Series or bust all year since about April 30th, but I really think this team has what it takes. Look, part of it is I don't know how much Detroit scares me. They should because they have Verlander and Scherzer. But we've talked about it. We've talked about it. Something about Scherzer worries me.
From if you're like a Tigers fan?
If you're a Tigers fan, he is so herky-jerky on the mound that I worry that one game he's good for a good 6 walks. And get yourself in some trouble.
Verlander's had some high walk games too.
He has.
An interesting note I saw on Scherzer the other day. He's 19-1.
Yep.
Which I don't care whether you overvalue or undervalue wins. You got to be doing something right. But the Tigers have scored, I think, almost 6 runs a game in the games that he started.
Yep.
And I got to thinking, if you're a pitcher and you're out there on the mound, you're in more of a comfort zone.
When you have a 5-0
When you have a 5-0 lead. So you're going to strike guys out. You're going to attack guys. I just think it all ties together. It's kind of been the perfect storm for him this year. I'll say it again. I think I mentioned to you in the first podcast, fantasy draft, I picked Brandon Morrow over Max Scherzer, and it drives me nuts. But anyways,
do you know that the Red Sox have scored 1 less run than the Tigers this year?
Overall?
Overall, it's like 662 to 661.
Now, the Sox were ahead of them for a while, weren't they?
They were.
The
Tigers.
Well,
but you really think about, just all the publicity that the Tigers' offense gets, mostly because of Cabrera and Prince Fielder. But I really, truly believe they can do it. The question, and you know what? I'm starting to think, I'm not as worried about Buchholz coming back.
You think he's going to come back?
No, I'm not concerned about, like everyone says, well, they can do it if Buchholz comes back. I think they can do it without Clay Buchholz.
Yeah, I second that.
And this might be the wrong way to think of it, if I'm in the clubhouse, I'm sitting there saying, hey, we've got a pretty good rotation right now. Lester's been much better. Lackey's been good. I'm a big Felix Dubron fan. I tell you that after every start.
You do. You do like Dubron.
Jake Peavy.
How about Peavy the other night?
Oh, he was awesome.
Catches the ball, throws the ball.
Yeah.
Catches the ball, throws the ball.
He competes. He's not 94 to 96 anymore, but he loves to compete. And I think that fits. And I think that fits this market. I've said it before. I think that it fits this market very well.
I hate when stuff like Jake Peavy from early 2000s.
Yeah.
I love I was a huge fan of Billy Wagner.
Yep.
and the Sox got him, and he was here for a couple months. And I just wanted more Billy Wagner. I think he signed with Atlanta and finished his career
strong.
There. He had like 40 saves or something. But I would love to see Jake Peavy. I wish they got him.
You would have liked to have seen the 2006 JPV in Boston with the stuff.
Or at least more than a year and a half. Who knows what will happen after next year. I assume he'll still be here next year. But
he is. He's under contract next year.
What do they do, though, with that? Because they'll have Peavy, Lackey, Dempster, Lester, Buchholz, DuBront. So that's 6 starters. What do they do there? Nobody's really talked about that.
To be honest, in the off season, I don't do anything. Because you just cannot count on Clay Buchholz.
What's his deal? Because I'm not familiar with his injury. Some kind of bursa sac on his shoulder. Is he? In all seriousness, what's his deal? I don't know what his deal is. I don't want to use any bad words, but is he being a little?
Is he soft?
Is he soft?
It's starting to look that way.
I feel like he is, man. You know what I mean? I just feel like he could be out there pitching, but when he throws a pitch, he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he has a little bit of pain.
And I'll second that, and I'll go in a different direction, not necessarily being hurt, but you remember, I think it was like 2009, 2010, when he was struggling.
Yep.
And he'd get runners on, and he'd slow the game down, and he'd pick off 5 times, and 2 of them, the runner was actually sitting on the base.
Like J-Con. J-Con used to do that.
Yeah.
He never looked at first. He just threw over,
And I don't know. Maybe he's not comfortable here. Maybe I wouldn't, me personally, long term, and look, Dempster's been awful lately, but I don't know if you can trust.
Would you think he could be traded? If you're another team, do you take a chance on him?
Yeah, I would.
And if you're the Sox, what do you get back? A couple prospects, or do you get?
I think you're going to ask for the moon, but do you really get it?
Not Mike Stanton, but Giancarlo Stanton, maybe.
I'd do it.
I'd do it if I was the Sox. Because in all seriousness, like say you go into next year with Dempster as your 5.
Could be a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
DuBront's in the rotation. Lackey. Do they try and move Lackey? Usually a team will go into a season with 6 or 7 starters.
Well, the thing with Lackey and you look at it now, which was kind of, I don't want to call it genius, but that 6th year at $500,000. So now, let's say next year his average was 5 years, 82.5. That's a little bit above 16. So let's say next year is 16, and the year after that is $500,000. So now you really have a 2-year, $16.5 million contract. I mean,
which isn't bad.
That's what Dempster got, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Dempster was here, and he was pretty good for a little while. If you were expecting him to be a under 4 ERA guy, that wasn't going to happen. But you brought him here because he'd take his turn in the rotation. For the most part, he gives you 5 to 6 innings. He seems like his teammates like him.
Know what gets me, and this isn't the first time I've heard it, but when a pitcher is struggling, a starting pitcher, move him to the bullpen. Okay, fine. Why not? But I always thought, what makes you think he's going to pitch better out of the bullpen? Okay, he's going to warm up a little bit differently. He's going to come into the game when he's not used to, but when it's all said and done, he's standing on the mound, throwing a baseball. What makes you think he's going to pitch better? And I know with Dempster, he closed for the Cubs.
Yep.
But what's going to...
He was average at it, at best. He wasn't great.
Yeah, I don't understand why people think all of a sudden you throw a guy in the bullpen, he's going to be a different pitcher.
It doesn't make sense because, we're watching DuBront now, and there was time. His big thing is his pitch count gets really high. So everyone said, well, if you have an extra arm, put him in the bullpen. Okay, let's bring a guy to the bullpen that can't throw strikes. That's exactly what you want out of a bullpen guy.
Yeah, opposite of what you want. You want
the last thing you need is a guy coming in throwing 8 balls in a row, and you're like, great, this is awesome.
Let me throw out a name for you, Daniel Bard. I hadn't heard his name in a very long time.
I'll be honest, I saw that he was on rehab, and I didn't even know he was hurt. I knew they put him down in the minors. But I didn't know he was hurt.
I had no idea he was hurt. Over the weekend I was thinking about call-ups and who they could use and all this stuff. And yeah, he had a high abdominal or upper abdominal strain.
Yeah.
And is he even do you even waste your time? I don't want to say waste your time, but do you even consider?
If he's healthy, I'd call him up.
He was so good a few years ago,
and I still think there'd be time. Look, there'll still be times during September where you can put him in there, good or bad, and you can at least feel him out. Yeah. But you're never going to know until you put him into that pressure situation.
Was it? I think it was us and maybe Richardson. Ah, crap! I can't remember who. I didn't say anything. I knew we were behind them for a little while.
Oh, Bard and Saltalamacchia? Yeah.
Bard, Saltalamacchia.
That was last year opening day after the game.
Was it?
Yeah.
And there was one other guy, Bard, Saltalamacchia, and some other guy, and we were standing at the lights outside of Fenway, and they were crossing the street. And I don't know if you saw them, but I didn't. I figured the fanboy in you would come out and try to...
I thought about it, yeah.
Try to chase down Salty or something, but Bard they messed with his head, and I feel like he's the type of kid, he's so fragile. Once you start screwing with him, man, who knows if he's ever going to be the pitcher he was. But getting off the Sox, I brought it up earlier, Buck from the Mets with Bird.
Yep.
Got shipped off to Pittsburgh. Okay, whatever. The Pirates, Pittsburgh. They're actually starting to sell and getting their fans ready to buy playoff tickets, which they haven't done since
Barry Bonds
in our lifetime.
92 probably.
92.
92.
No.
Yeah, when Bonds was there.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
When they lost to the Braves,
I'm thinking early 80s.
Yeah.
Or it's like early 90s. But the other name that's
that's 20 plus years.
Yeah, I know. The other name that's being thrown out there is Morneau. Morneau cleared waivers this month.
Mm-hmm.
He's open to be traded, and the word on the street is Pittsburgh's interested. Again, I think they're in second place right now behind the Cardinals, and the Reds are in third.
Yep.
So who knows? I don't know why the Reds would block him because they have Joey Votto, but I think Morneau's a free agent after this season. He has $3 million left, or he's due $3 million.
Yep.
The rest of the way. And I read that the Pirates are willing to pick it up. I don't know if it's going to happen, and I don't even know if Morneau's the answer for them, if there's anything wrong. But it excites me, and I love it to see the Pittsburgh Pirates.
You figure if you're the Pirates and you say, hey, we're willing to pick up the $3 million, you probably won't have to give them a whole lot back. Maybe a minor leaguer. You're not going to give up a top prospect.
No.
No, look, Justin Morneau's a former MVP. I would do it. Absolutely. And who knows? Maybe a little change of scenery, put him in a playoff chase.
I just think lefties in that ballpark, I feel like...
Oh, he'll be putting balls into the river if he gets hot.
Oh, that place in Cincinnati, man.
Balls just fly out of there.
Did you see Napoli's home run on Sunday night?
That ball was absolutely destroyed. I almost texted you.
Holy crap. That ball was crushed.
It was one of those where I knew it was gone, and they just, all the fans kept standing up. The ball kept, I'm like, that might leave the whole park.
That ball, when that guy connects, and he doesn't connect too often, but when he swings with such force and such violence that when he connects and squares that ball up, man, that thing travels.
I think, me personally, I think Napoli's been great.
Yeah. Defensively, I think he's been... We haven't talked about him.
He's always been a strikeout guy.
That's true.
So the one thing I love about ESPN.com is they have the stats and what they're projected, based on if they continue to play that many games. He's projected to go 20-90.
Not bad.
He's always been a huge strikeout guy.
Yeah, he has.
And he's hitting what, 255? Look, you knew he wasn't an average guy. He's not going to come and hit you 300. I was for the Napoli signing when they signed him at 3 years. I would consider re-signing him. Maybe not.
What's going to happen with that? I mean, and we're getting right back to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But he's a free agent after this year. So is the guy catching right now, Saltalamacchia. What do you do with that? I feel like they have to make a decision. Is he the guy
Or is he not the guy?
Or is he not the guy? And if he's not the guy, then you go with LeVar Way because he's in the system. But
what about Joe Mauer?
But why? Why would you bring on? Personally, I'd rather see them take that. I love Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Do you put Mauer at first base?
Nope, you catch him.
You want to keep him behind the plate.
Yes, he is so good behind the plate.
So you would say your answer would be let Salty walk, keep LeVar Way as a backup, and then trade for Joe Mauer.
Oh, that'd be the ultimate. I don't think it would ever happen. No. I wish it would. I
think I would rather them.
I just think if you're the Red Sox and go to him and say, hey, we'll take on his salary, I don't think you'd have to give up a whole lot.
For Mauer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would rather see them keep. I want to see them move on to LeVar Way.
Yeah. Look, Saltalamacchia, to me, I like him because I think he works really hard. I don't think he's one of those guys that's naturally gifted at what he does. He has to work very hard. I think he had to earn the pitcher's respect, and I think he has
improved.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You when you first saw him get here, you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then he's gotten better, and he's not one of those guys that can just throw his glove out there and have a good game. He's got to work at everything he does, and I respect that. Long term.
Say you do bring him back. I mean, what is the contract like? They're into these 3-year deals. Do you offer him a 3-year deal? Because I feel like somebody else out there is going to offer him a 3 or 4-year deal. I just don't think the Sox would overpay to keep him. That's all. And I think they'll be okay without him. But the
other thing you got to remember is they've got Ross. Is Ross 2-year deal, right?
I feel like they locked him up for like 2 years and $6 million or something.
So I mean, if you lose them, you've got LeVar Way and Ross. LeVar Way would probably be your guy, but Ross can still catch it 80 games.
You know what? Wouldn't surprise me if Ross stepped away after this season, especially with the concussion. Because
he's been beat up. Although I did think he looked good the other day. I think he does a good job. I think he caught on Saturday.
Nelson Cruz, he's suspended right now for the biogenesis thing. He's eligible to come back, I think, with a couple games left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I read some reports that the Rangers are open to having him come back and be part of their playoff roster. Does that bother you at all? Or are you over that?
Does it bother me?
The fact that what's his what is his punishment? He lost 50 games, right?
Yep.
Okay, he loses a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
He still has millions. If
I'm a teammate, yeah, I'd have a problem with it.
Yeah,
because
I'd have a big problem with it.
You would ultimately, and look, are there guys in the Rangers clubhouse that probably are on or did something? Yeah. But you put our season in jeopardy, is what I would say. Is what I would think. You have hurt. We're all striving to make the playoffs, to go to the World Series, to win a World, and you have, and it's different if you go out there and you just suck, because at least you're putting in the effort. Hey, look, but he jeopardized their season. He's one of their better players.
Yeah.
And if we get to the playoffs, I would say, hey, we proved we're okay without you.
Yeah. I read that today, and I just kind of thought to myself, I look at...
If you're MLB, why not just suspend him for the rest of the year? Well, his suspension was for 50 games, just like a regular...
That's, yeah. So
why not? So how many games would he be eligible to play at the end of the year?
I think like 3.
Why not wait 3 days and just suspend him 50 games?
I don't know.
Or,
Maybe he's suspended just throughout the regular season and he come back for the... Because I know Cabrera was eligible to come back with the Giants last year, but they said, no thanks, stay at home.
Which they should have.
But the other big half or part of the biogenesis thing is Alex Rodriguez. He hit his 650th career home run last night. He's 10 behind Willie Mays.
It's a huge bonus if he gets to Willie Mays.
Oh,
right?
man. I think he gets another $6 million if he hit like 11 or 13 home runs this year. It still bothers me that he's playing, man. And
did you see that? Did you listen to Felger and Mazz today?
I didn't get the chance to listen to him, though.
I apologize for cutting you off, but
it's okay.
They talked about an ESPN article, an ESPN the magazine article, and they do this thing called it's like anonymous reporters. Basically, I could have been called. Basically, they go to different players, and everything they ask them the question, everything's anonymous. No one tells who's who.
Yep. And
they went to 36 major league players.
Okay.
And asked them.
That's the equivalent of what, a team and a half?
Yeah, and asked them, was what Ryan Dempster, would you have done what Ryan Dempster did to A-Rod?
Yeah.
Do you know how many of them said yes?
No, I don't.
Take a guess.
How many? 36?
36 players.
I'd say 32.
One
person said that they would have done what Ryan... I thought you were going the other way with this. That's why I guess so high.
Out of that 36, they asked the same question. Should A-Rod be able to play while appealing? 34 of them said yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Now,
because the way they look at it is if I'm in that situation, I'd want to be able to do that as well.
That makes sense to me, and it makes sense to me that he's allowed to play while he's appealing, but the whole fact that...
It takes 3 months to appeal.
Not only that, but just the whole fact that MLB... I don't want to get caught up in this whole A-Rod thing again, but it just bothers me a little bit, and the fact that this guy gets accepted back by his teammates. I lost a lot of respect for Joe Girardi after that game. You know, I've thought about, I think I sent you a text the night it happened about Dempster saying, I have no problem with it. Looking back, it was pretty stupid.
It was. And
just
you know
from
what?
Baseball side of things.
I was talking to my dad about it, and I had texted him. I said, that's awesome. He goes, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And that was like instantaneous. He was like, no, that was dumb. I don't know why he did that. This was like literally 5 minutes after it happened. And I called him the next day, and we were talking, and I said, you were right. You know, looking back, it was pretty dumb.
It was very dumb, man, because and I had zero issues with what Ortiz came out and said.
I don't either. I have zero problem. I don't know if I'd say it to. I don't know if I'd say it in a press conference. Maybe it was in a press conference. I agree with everything he said.
Yeah, I don't. And I've talked to Greg about this before. Some of these Dominican players, when they get a mic shoved in their face, Ortiz has been here for a long time. He knows English, but
he said his fair share of dumb stuff.
But I think sometimes he means to say one thing, and he uses the wrong word.
Yeah.
It just so happens that one wrong word is an important word.
Yeah.
And he makes it sound like something else. But yeah, I don't have any issue with it's funny, I don't have any issue with Dempster wanting to hit A-Rod. I think it was stupid when he did, but I also don't have any issue with what Ortiz said. I don't think Ortiz should keep his mouth shut or anything like that. I completely disagree with people who have that view. But I just, the whole 10 home runs behind Willie Mays, I just think home runs and like the value of them, they're still very important, but the days of getting to 500 home runs, to 400 home runs, and automatically becoming a Hall of Famer, I think those days are over. I think the game, it's slowly turning into more of an on-base defensive.
The thing you have to, and I think I texted you about this, Alfonso Soriano. He's like 2 home runs away from 400.
Yeah.
He's 36. Let's say he plays 3 or 4 more years. If he creeps towards 500, is he a Hall of Famer? No, probably not. But like 500 used to be that number where you say, hey, that's a no-doubt Hall of Famer.
Yes. Soriano's one. See, when I think of a Hall of Fame caliber player, I think of a guy who would make me nervous when he was up to the or if you were going against him on the mound, like a Vladimir Guerrero in his prime.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Oh man, I didn't want to go anywhere. Like you literally would bounce the pitch to him, and he would hit it out.
Yep.
That guy used to be, and the last few years he kind of whatever happened, but I think he's playing in the independent league somewhere.
Yeah, with the Long Island Ducks.
But I like guys like that, Manny back in his prime.
You have to have a measure of greatness. And that's just not in baseball, it's in any sport. You really look at take Pedro Martinez. Mm-hmm. He won like 210 games, which isn't a ton. But he had the best 3-year stretch.
Yeah.
Probably any pitcher's ever had in all of baseball, ever. I mean, and it's, Sandy Koufax won like 150 games.
Sandy Koufax, correct me if I'm wrong, retired at the age of 32?
Yeah.
Are elbow problems?
Yeah. Which he would have been out a year now and would have pitched another 10 years after that.
Oh, man. I see, a guy like Sandy Koufax, I love the little guys, like a Tim Collins, the Worcester guy, 5'7", whatever he is, throwing mid-90s.
Yep.
Or say even 92, 93. But you have that ball jumping out of your hand when you're that big.
Yeah.
It's going to sneak up on you. The Rouch guy, Joe Rouch.
Yep.
He was like 6'7", 6'8", and he threw like 92, 93. And when you've got a 7-foot guy standing on the mound,
say, come on, man, let it go.
And he's throwing 90, it's going to really look like 80. But that's my personal opinion. Another guy who doesn't throw particularly hard but's having a great season. He did miss some time this year after getting bulldozed by Carlos Quentin. Zach Greinke. After last night, 13-3 on the year, 2.86 ERA.
He was really good last night.
Also,
really
what was he, out or two away from having a complete game shutout.
Not a perfect game, complete game. Yep.
Yeah, giving up 2 runs, but he's also batting .340 on the year with a .426 OBP. Not bad.
Really good.
You always have to respect a pitcher that can hit, because I know. Even without hitting, pitchers are the best athletes on the field. I think you'll attest to that. But when you can swing a bat, man, that's sexy.
This is coming from the guy that says that just hates watching pitchers hit because he thinks they're going to get hurt. What was it, a couple years ago? Like Cole Hamels hurt himself swinging, and he was never the same.
It happens every year. Yeah, one guy. Yeah. I'm a big advocate of the DH. I feel like 97% of baseball fans hate the DH.
Yeah.
And would rather see pitchers hit because it's more strategy and you've got to bunt and double switches. I'm a fan of the game. I'm entertained by these guys. I'm sorry, offense does kind of grab your attention. I would rather see a DH across both leagues. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm for the DH, but more than anything, I'm for it being equal. Meaning either both leagues go to
the other?
Yeah, and I texted you this the other day. End of September, the Red Sox have a 2-game road. It's only a 2-game road trip, or no, it's a 2-game series in Colorado.
What is that about?
What happens if they're tied? Everything's about the same, 1 game either way. Now they have to go to Colorado. Either Ortiz or Napoli is not going to be able to be in the lineup, and you need to have Lackey, Lester, Dubron, whoever lines up, hit. What if you lose those 2 games?
It doesn't make when
and the Rays are playing Kansas City at the Trop, and
now if the Rays are playing the Yankees and the Orioles are playing the Blue Jays, while the Sox are playing the Rockies,
then you've got to
fine.
Yeah.
But if the Yankees are playing the Astros and the Rays are playing the White Sox, okay, then what the heck's going on? Why? I'd have to look at the schedules, but I knew going into this year with the Astros moving to the American League, there's always going to be an interleague series.
I wasn't for it, but I think it's set up some. It's nice to sit there and say, the Reds are playing the Tigers. Something that you wouldn't normally see.
Sure.
Certainly it lines up where every once in a while the Astros have to play the Marlins. That's part of the deal. But I think it's and I think it's even more evident that you need to go one way or the other because of that. It used to be where it was 3 weeks of interleague and then it was done.
Yeah.
Now that you're doing it all year, pick one. Either go with the DH or don't.
Are you okay with Xander Bogaerts at short, Will Middlebrooks at third, Pedroia at second? Are you okay with that infield? Those 3 positions moving forward for the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. I'm actually a big Middlebrooks supporter.
Is Bogaerts your starting shortstop next year?
Yeah.
So Drew will be gone after the 1-year deal. Middlebrooks seems to be settled in.
Yeah.
Who plays first base then next year? Just a quick prediction before I move on to something else. Napoli come back?
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I would. I really would.
He hasn't caught one game this year, huh? Does he still have catches in it?
This is how crazy. When they signed him, I said I'd let him catch.
You let everyone catch.
He's not that bad defensively. He's not good.
The hip thing, I think they were worried
about. Yeah, no, I understand. Then that came out, and I was like, well, first base is a pretty good option for him. No, he hasn't. Like, I said, well, you can put him at first, and he's an emergency guy if, but they haven't even, like, I thought maybe he'd play, like, some back there.
Even, like, towards the end of the game or extra innings?
Yeah, where they just said, hey, we need you to suck it up.
Nope.
He hasn't even,
No, not even close. Raymond Fuentes. Does that ring a bell?
It does, but continue.
He got called up today by the Padres.
Yep.
Read off some numbers for you. Well, first of all, he's the cousin of Carlos Beltran.
Okay.
Star outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. He was a first-round pick of Boston in 2009.
Yep.
This year, combined between AA and AAA, 107 games, 330 batting average, 6 home runs, not a ton of power, 43 RBI, and 35 stolen bases. He was part of the Adrian Gonzalez trade.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, he guess, the Padres, I'm safe to say they're out of it this year.
Yep.
So he had a decent season. I think he got called up to AAA and batted like 400 in 14 games or 15 games. So they're rewarding him, letting him come up, see what he can do. Casey Kelly was the other big guy in that trade, correct?
Pitcher. Yep.
And
actually, they let him pitch and hit in the minors.
Well, he was a shortstop / like.
He's going to go play football like Tennessee, wasn't he?
Yeah, now he ended up, so he came up last year, had a few starts, was supposed to pitch this year. Line drive homer for Victorino. Nice catch, too. Victorino, nice surprise this year. I wasn't sure what to expect from him.
Thought it was a terrible signing at the time, but he's fit in well.
He's like a good Trot Nixon, if that makes sense.
I was just going to say it.
Except he's, like, good. Like, I like Trot Nixon. I thought he was good, and he played hurt, and he was a dirt dog. But Victorino is a little faster.
I'll tell you what, I like how he said, obviously it's because he's hurt, but he said, I'm just going to hit right-handed.
Yeah.
He faced some pretty good righties out in the West Coast.
Yeah.
And he just took them right-handed. He didn't care.
Oh, yeah. No, he's the type of guy, I hope a little bit of him has rubbed off on Jacoby.
Yes,
Is Jacoby back next year?
I still say no.
I don't think so either.
Heyman was on Gresham Show today, and he said the Red Sox would like him back. He used the B.J. Upton 5 years, $75 million as a benchmark. By the way, B.J. Upton is hitting 188 this year.
That's awful.
Ellsbury has always struck me as that guy that would play for the Astros for $125 million.
Yeah.
That would just. And you know what? That's his right. He's a free agent.
It's a serious question. If you were a professional baseball player and you had the option of signing a 5-year, $100 million contract with the Houston Astros,
yep,
or you had the option of signing a 2-year, $20 million contract with the Yankees.
Me personally,
Now keep in mind that in year 1 you could blow your knee out.
Well, at least the $20 million is guaranteed, no matter what.
Okay, so the fact that you could live with I assume you pick the Yankees.
Yeah, no matter what you make or whoever you are, if you're playing for the team that's in last place, and especially a team like, just as an example for the Astros, who are out of it at about April 2nd.
Yeah.
It's going to be a miserable year. New York, at least you can compete. But say some people are made for that big market. I'm trying to think of a name that some people just aren't. They use like Carl Crawford, just not built for that market.
But why not sign that contract and take that money, okay? And say you sign a 5-year deal in Houston. The chances of you actually sticking around for all 5 years are slim to none.
Yeah.
None. So why not just sign that contract? And if you're dealt in 2 or 3 years, who cares? You have $100 million.
Yeah.
Where if you sign that 2-year, $20 million deal, who like Euclid? I thought I feel like he might have had another offer or two on the table for multiple years.
Cleveland. He could have play for his old manager.
But the Yankees are offering him what, $10 or $12 million for 1 season? And he played, 20 games this year? I mean, go get as much money as you can now because you just don't know. I guess that goes against my point signing the long-term deal, but you don't know what's going to happen, that's all. You know?
Yeah. I would... It's easier for us to say because $20 million is a lot of freaking money.
Oh, man. In all honesty, like, if I had $20 million... I
wouldn't know what to do with it.
But I would comfortably be like, here, Kruger, here's a check for $1 million. Like, go fucking buy your kid. Oh, we'll have to beep that out. But I would write you a check.
Yeah.
That's how excited I am. I would write you a check and say, here, $1 million. Because then I have what?
$19 million.
$19 million. Seriously, how many millions of dollars do you really need? I know you would do the same for me in case,
absolutely.
You know, if you gave me $20 million, if you got $20 million, you would give me $1 million, but
here's $90,000.
We got like 5 minutes left in this podcast. I know you brought a little thing of notes. Yeah, do you want to touch on anything quickly before we wrap this up, or what?
Yeah, couple. I mean, we've already touched on the Dempster Ortiz thing. It's crazy when you don't podcast for 2 weeks how much stuff comes up.
No, I know.
Dodgers Red Sox trade. Who won, in your opinion?
Red Sox.
I agree.
All day, every day.
Now, and here's my reasoning. You really look at the three big names were Beckett, Gonzalez, and Crawford.
You're not gonna throw Punto in there?
Okay, Punto too. Punto. Beckett was awful and then got hurt.
Sure.
Crawford has been average and then got hurt.
He's had an okay year, but for a guy who's making $20 million a year.
Yeah, not good. And Gonzalez has been good. He's been Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's Gonzalez.
My point being is you really look at the surge of the Dodgers didn't have as much to do with that trade as people make it.
Yeah.
Your surge is really coming from Greinke, Kershaw, Puig, and guys like that.
Beckett, I mean, it's funny.
I don't think Beckett's won a game since he's been there. He went 0-5 this year. I don't know if he won.
I think he's like 2-10 or something, or 2-8, or something ridiculous like that. But it'd be funny to go back to the beginning of the season and see what their record was up until Beckett got hurt and stopped pitching.
Yeah.
And now, because I think I saw him in uniform this past weekend.
Yep. But he was in uniform, yeah.
But I think he might have been away from the club for a couple months, and I'm just curious to see if, who knows, but yeah, I think the Sox too. Webster last night, the game was on Nesson.
Yeah.
For the Paw Sox, wearing number 11, by the way, in the minors. He was down 1-0, pitching a gem. I don't know who the heck he was pitching against, but that guy, he could be something special.
By the way, Brian Wilson, 0-0.
Oh, can I bring this up real quick?
Yep.
I was watching the game.
Let's be honest, we don't have 5 minutes left. We've got as much time as we want.
Brian Wilson, 0-0, former World Series closer for the Giants. Carlos Marmol is on the team, coming out of the bullpen. They've got Jansen, who's closing. Oh boy, they have Brandon League, who I like, by the way. He throws hard and
who gave up the home run to
Mike I know, but I just like the way he slings it up there.
He pitched pretty well in Toronto.
They also have their bullpen is full of
just guys that have
former closers. You know, I was just must have been against the Sox, but I was just watching these guys come in, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, if Eric Gagne runs out of the bullpen, I would not be surprised. You know, the 0-0 bothers me.
Oh man,
I don't know if we talked about that, but the 0-0 bothers me.
Going back to uniforms, switching sports, Phoenix Suns.
Yes, did you see them?
Awful.
They're terrible.
I absolutely hate it that basketball is going to that short sleeve look. I hated it in the NCAA tournament. Louisville wore them last year, and some of the teams that wore Adidas uniforms. I'm okay if you want to wear a T-shirt underneath. Sometimes I would do that in high school. I think it's, and I was even more appalled when I read a report on ESPN that the Lakers were thinking about doing it.
I saw that.
I can't envision a worse look in any sport than a basketball team that wears sleeves. The Warriors did it for a game or two last year, right?
Yeah, they tried it out last year.
It looked so bad.
They had a couple teams signed up in the summer league to wear the sleeves.
Yeah. I can't.
You strike me. You're a traditionalist. You're not afraid. Oh, we didn't even touch on instant replay.
Stop it. We've got plenty.
Just stick on the basketball thing for a second. Yeah, I saw the Suns uniforms a week or two ago when they popped up, and I was like, I don't know about those.
They have a great logo.
They did have They do, and I just feel like back when I love the Phoenix Suns.
Charles Barkley Phoenix Suns.
Yes, back when they played the Bulls and Jordan and those unis.
Dan Marley.
Bring those back, man. But did you see, real quick, the WNBA last night?
No.
You didn't see this?
No.
Candace Parker?
No.
Who's she play for, the LA team still?
Yeah.
Some woman on her team, I think she got a layup or got an N1 and was standing under the basket, shaking her head and doing all that crap. And Candace Parker went in to, congratulate her.
Yeah.
Smashed her head so hard. Before you leave, I'll have to show you the video. This poor woman, blood.
Really?
It looks like she just got hit in the head with a steel chair, WWF style.
Yeah.
Gash, cut open. It was so bad. It's the only highlight I've seen of the WNBA in the last whoever knows how many. And I'm not gonna lie, I do watch WNBA now and then. But you got to check it out, man, this video. This girl is just, this woman is just cracked open, and I felt bad. But I think she got stitched up and shot her free throws, so. What else you have on the list?
The other two I have is, and we've already touched on this, MLB playoffs.
Yeah.
Best playoffs in sports, by the way.
Better than NHL?
Better than NHL.
Okay.
Take it to the bank.
All right.
Thoughts? Excitement? Excited for September? Not excited for September?
I do. I think we do it every year. Either you send me a text or I'll send you a text. But you wake up that one morning, whether it's in September or October.
Yeah.
It's actually, we're getting pretty close to that time. And it's got that nice, crisp, cool feel.
Yeah.
And it feels like playoff baseball.
Oh, I love
That's what I associate it with. And I love it. I'm with you, man. I think I a lot of respect, no disrespect towards hockey, towards football, the Super Bowl, but I got to give some love to the NBA playoffs. But, man, playoff baseball, doesn't get any better. So to answer your question, yeah, man, I'm excited. Hell yeah, I'm excited.
I think we could be, and I say this every September, I think it could be. And it's one of those things where I'm not for the one-game playoff. I think it should be. I'm okay with the extra wild card. I think it should be best out of three. Now, I understand that that's easier said than done, getting all those games in, and God forbid if you get a rain out or whatever.
Sure, they'll be playing till November.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, actually, personally. But at the same time, I mean, one-game wild card play-in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. Think about it. You play 162 games. We always talk about this, when the teams are tied, dead tied. 162 games, and you're dead tied.
It's so crazy to think about it.
162 games.
You look at early in the season,
that day that you decided to sit Ortiz out because just to rest him.
But you got to do things like that.
But then you look back and you're like, man, if we had won that game.
But then if you had put him in the game, and let's say that's instead of 5 games on, 1 game off with the rest day afterwards, off day afterwards, and then 5 more games. Let's say he plays 10 straight days.
Yeah.
Who knows how he would have responded in June or July? You know what I mean? And it's easy to sit here at the end of the season and say, I remember that game against Tampa Bay where the ump blew that call and they should have won. Yeah, they should have. They didn't. But when it makes it even more remarkable that it does.
I think we watched this game together. Remember 2009 Twins Tigers?
Oh yeah,
they tied it. They were tied and went into extra innings.
Yeah.
What are the chances of? I'd like to statistically know what are the chances at the beginning of the year that two teams play 162 games are deadlocked.
Good question.
100% deadlocked. Go to 163rd game and go into extra innings.
It's a good question. Hey, after this weekend, do you still think the Dodgers are a lock to win the West?
No.
The
West? Yes.
No, sorry, not the West. The NL pennant.
I didn't think they were before.
Oh, you didn't?
I like the Braves a lot.
Okay.
You know what? The Cardinals are that team. They're
always there.
They're always there and they win.
Yeah, they are always there.
They're very similar to like when the Spurs get in the playoffs.
Correct.
You're like, they might be the 3 seed, but they know how to win. Or you get to, I'm sure other teams get the same feeling when the Patriots get in the playoffs. You're like, well, they might not be the best team, but they always seem to find a way to win, and you're always worried about them.
Yeah.
I like the Pirates. I didn't see the Dodgers as a lock beforehand, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against the Dodgers. I just think some of the other teams are better than people think they are.
Okay.
Mostly the Braves. You really look at the Braves, right? They've absolutely run away with the East. Both Uptons have been terrible.
Justin started off the season so hot. I want to say he had like 16 home runs.
Yeah.
The first month and a half.
BJ's been awful all year.
Under 200.
Dan Uggla's out.
Yeah.
Hudson's out. Jason Hayward's out.
Beachy's been hurt. Tried coming back. He's got shut down a little bit.
And they're still they're 15 games up in the East.
Do you think that's also
the East is not good.
Yeah, do you think the Nationals kind of crapped the bed this year? Because I do.
They do.
Looking back, it doesn't surprise me that the Nationals took a step back because I think maybe last year it got to their head and they thought, I don't want to say it would come easy to them, but they wouldn't have to work as hard. Everyone picked them to win the World Series, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. Not even close.
Yeah, but you really look at the West. The West isn't that good either.
Well,
Diamondbacks are a couple.
I brought this up to you before, and I hope I'm not right, but Kirk Gibson.
Yeah.
Have you watched him? Have you watched him come out to the mound? Something's up with him, and he strikes me health-wise.
Okay.
And he strikes me as the type of. Oh, Napoli just hit one to the moon. When he connects, man, that ball flies.
Manpower.
Kirk Gibson. Oh wow.
Okay. As far as that's concerned, ESPN does those My Wish things.
Yeah.
And one of the kids' wish was that he was from Arizona. He's a big Diamondbacks fan, huge Diamondbacks fan. And he went in the clubhouse. It was awesome. And they brought him in Kirk Gibson's office. And he wasn't in uniform. He was in just like a T-shirt, I think some shorts. He looked really, really skinny.
I think something's up with him, and it wouldn't surprise me if
just because I remember as a player, he wasn't like Jose Canseco, but he was a pretty big guy.
I'm telling you, man. Look at pictures of him when his playing days, even when he first started managing with Arizona.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of respect out there for Kirk Gibson. So I think the reporters know. I think other teams know, and nobody's saying anything because they want him to come out and say something.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's the type of guy who wants people to feel bad for him.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm telling you, man, keep an eye on that because I don't know whether I don't know what it is, whether it's cancer or I don't know.
I hope it's not that.
Yeah, he just something is with him. He's a lifer for baseball. He's the guy you can just tell he bleeds.
Yeah.
Baseball, lives baseball, breathes baseball, and I just feel like he's the type of guy who doesn't want people's pity, but I also unfortunately think something's wrong with him, and I felt the same way last year, and nothing come out, so I'd be very surprised if something didn't come out this off season, but
so the only other two things I had were the instant replay.
Okay. Which we could do an entire night's worth
of
talking.
First heard it was like 100% against it. I wasn't for it.
Yeah, you sent me some text messages and pretty strong.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more against it, I think, were you exactly.
Luckily, I had a 5-hour car ride to New Jersey the next day, and I had three 18-year-old kids who fell asleep, so I had some time with me and New York, New Jersey sports radio, and that's all they talked about, and they were for it, and it made sense. I just don't think that the flag idea is the best idea. But I don't know if there's another way you could go with it either.
That's what I was going to ask you. You're a baseball guy. You're around the game a lot. You watch the game. What do you think? Because I am all for them getting it right.
Yep.
I think you should leave balls and strikes alone. Don't go there.
Yes, you have to. I think that's part of the beauty of the game is, and these guys, these pitchers, they know, hey, I got Joe West behind the plate. He calls it tight. He likes it high. And, I think that's part of the fun of it.
I agree with you. But how do you infuse instant replay? I hate how they do it now, where all the umpires run into the booth or run into the backstop and disappear, and they come out and they wave the finger.
I've always been, rather than the replay they have, what I would have done is I would have. They already have an umpire up top, I think, or an MLB official at every game. That So you have a questionable call. Give one umpire a buzzer. Put a cell phone on vibrate in his pocket. Have the guy up top look at it.
Send him a text.
2 buzzes if he got it right. 1 buzz if he got it wrong. Or whatever it may be.
I don't think that will happen because you watch Buck Showalter go and pick up. Watch, he's going to do it right now. He's going to pick up a telephone from 1985 and call the bullpen. Like, well, why don't they use walkie-talkies or cell phones for that?
They have talked about putting cell phones.
I thought they were.
Yeah.
I thought they did. I thought they talked about that and were going to do it, but you still have these guys, even in the brand-new ballparks with these millions and billions of dollars worth of new stadiums.
Yep.
And they have this telephone with a cord to call the bullpen. Like, come on, like you gotta. So I for one am for instant replay. I agree with you. I don't think throwing a red flag. Are they really going to throw a red flag, by the way, or is that just hearsay?
I think that's just hearsay.
Oh, okay.
They have to come up with a better way. But I think, and when there's the phone. That's the first phone ever invented.
Just to draw a picture for anyone who's listening, Buck Showalter, the camera is on him in the dugout. And
calling the bullpen.
There's a big black box in the bullpen in the dugout, and it literally says telephone on it in big white letters. And you have to open up the box, and then you pull out the phone, and it's got this long cord, and it calls the bullpen.
They don't even go wireless.
Yeah, they don't even go wireless, and that's how they let the guys down there know who to get ready, who to warm up, because the starter or whoever's in the game now is not doing too well. But it cracks me. Like I love baseball so much, and then one thing I was thinking about today, Kruger, is I'm sick. The instant replay, all right, go for it. But I'm so sick of baseball being compared to other sports.
It's not.
I hate sports being compared to sports. Yeah. Stop comparing.
Well, you're going to do it like they do it in the NBA or the NHL, or it's not the same.
It's like comparing apples to oranges and bananas to grapes. They're all fruits, but they're all different. So they're all sports. They're all athletic events. They're all professional organizations. And can they learn from each other? Yes. But I don't think there's any, I don't think the NFL is so high above baseball where the NFL can't look at baseball and think of things to do.
Yep.
They can pick each other's brains, but I hate the comparisons about who has more action time, what game is safer, which game is more fun. Everybody's different for fans. And what you and I enjoy is completely different than what Adam and Dave enjoy.
Dave said baseball puts him to sleep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, no, and I'll be honest with you, regular season ice hockey puts me to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love playoff ice hockey, and I'll cheer my butt off for the Bruins. But it's what makes you happy doesn't necessarily make me happy. Everybody's still making money. The NFL is making a ton more money than everybody else, but whatever. Who cares? It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's always trying to fix something or change it. Just enjoy it while it's happening. Enjoy the guys who are on the field making it happen. Because whether they're on drugs or not on drugs, man, there are some good baseball players. There are some good athletes. There are some teams that haven't been competitive in a while. I know the Royals are flip-flop and they win 10, lose 10, win 10. But, you've got the Indians are right there. The Pirates are winning. The Reds have been good. Man, like, baseball's back in L.A. with the Dodgers. Like, let's just enjoy it for what it is. Let's stop trying to think of ways to improve it, Not improve it, but change it. I'm always open for improvement, but
the only other thing that I had is college football, because I know you and Dave talked about it.
Yeah, it's my specialty.
Yeah, not exactly popular in this part of the country, because BC's terrible and UMass is not very good either. College football playoff, and the reason why I bring this up is because I know Dave's a big Notre Dame guy, and my buddy Tom is lives and dies by Notre Dame football.
Sure.
Last year's national championship game, which was awful, to me is the reason why you need a playoff in college football.
Yeah.
And the reason being, do I think Notre Dame deserved a shot at a national title? Yes. But did they deserve to go straight to the national title? No. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And so you look at, let's take college basketball this year. Louisville, Michigan was the championship. I think Louisville was the best team, but was Michigan the second best team in the country? Probably not. But at least you can sit there and say they deserved it. Because they won 5 straight elimination games. You know, if you want to take a team and put them in an 8-team playoff and say, hey, if you make it to the championship, you deserve it. I just think that it screams for a national championship, a playoff.
I agree. I think it's gotten to a point of absurdity.
I just think
how many bowl games there are.
Yeah.
Like, what's the value of a bowl game these days?
Very little if you're not in that. Like 2 or 3 or,
You've got the top 3 or 4 major ones, but then you literally have 60 to 75 or 50 to 60 bowl games where schools are just, it's like the Samsung TV Bowl.
Yeah.
It's the Wind Machine Fan Bowl. It's the, the microphone bowl. I just
don't understand why they refuse to make that adjustment. I don't. It's
money. It's got to be money.
It has to be.
They're making a ton of money right now.
Yeah.
And they don't want to change anything.
Yeah.
Because instead of the guy at the top making $50 million a year, he's only going to make $45.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to give up that $5 million.
And it's literally the only sport that I know in anything that doesn't have some kind of playoff system.
March Madness, is that the best playoffs going right now in sports? The tournament, the way that's set up?
No, baseball is.
You think baseball playoffs is better than March Madness?
Yeah. Well, I just love baseball, but
if you think about it, like college, you literally play the whole season. You're in your conference.
Yep.
You have a chance to win your conference. Sometimes strange things have happened, and some weird teams end up in the big dance.
And let me bring this point. And this is one of the drawbacks that I have with the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
I feel like with the NHL playoffs, you get some teams that aren't that good that advance because their goalie gets hot.
Okay, yeah.
So you sit there and you look up in the conference semifinals, and it's 4 versus 8, 6 versus 7. 1, 2, and 3 are out because their goalie struggled, or someone got hot.
Yeah,
I think that for a little bit it takes away from it a little bit. Is that kind of weird? Do you understand what I'm kind of getting at?
I do, but I think that could happen in any. Well,
it's good, but it's bad in my mind. So like the way I say it is, I'm always for the upsets in the NCAA tournament, but then when I look up and Wichita State's in the Final Four, I'm like, this sucks. I'd rather see UNC or UConn
I know what you mean.
or someone big.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You have, it was a couple years ago, one of the national championship games was like, or the semifinal was like Wichita State and someone else, like, and everyone's like, this game kind of sucks. Everyone was all for it, and then the matchup came, and you're like, oof, never mind.
I think those games are fun up until you get to like the Elite Eight, Final Four.
Yeah, then you sit there and say, no, I want to see the really good teams, the big teams play.
Yeah, I want to see the big name guys. Do you think a 16 seed will ever beat a 1 seed? Because I feel like we're getting closer each year.
Yeah, I think at some point you will.
It's got to happen, right?
It's got to. But really, you look at a lot of the 16 seeds, it's not much different from when, Stony Brook goes to play UConn, in mid-November. That's really what it is.
Yeah. Plus, you have like these younger teams, not younger teams, the lower-end D1 teams, and you've got kids there for 4 years.
Yep.
Going up against like 4 freshmen and a sophomore.
That are just there because they're talented and don't really play as a team.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that, like the upsets that we think are upsets, if you really dig a little bit deeper, and realize that these guys have been playing together for 4 years against really 18-year-olds.
Yep.
You've got 23, 24. Did we talk about this? The former wrestler, his name was Kenny Dykstra in the WWF. He was a wrestler for a little bit. He's 27 right now.
Yep.
He's a sophomore at Nichols.
Really?
He's on the football team.
Really?
Yeah, he lives in Dudley. I forget, maybe, mid 2000s or so. He was in the wrestling and he hurt his knee.
Yep.
He ended up writing a children's book. Now he's 27 and he's a sophomore at Nichols on the football team. He's going to school for sport management. He's just like, I always wanted to go to college and I never had the chance to. So I appreciate that. I mean, someone who wants to go and get their degree, but I just think it's to my point. You got a 27-year-old out there trying to tackle a 18-year-old kid. It just
doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, you should be like an All-American. Or
Brandon Whedon's a 30 years old, second-year quarterback. He was like 28 when he graduated Oklahoma State.
Is he?
Yeah, he's almost 30.
Is he starting for the Browns this year?
Yeah. He was like a 28-year-old rookie.
Got anything else you want to cover? All my checkpoints. I had one other thing. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Latimer. I'm just gonna pretend the W in front of Latimer is silent.
Yeah.
Latimer Ballentine or Ballentine. Greg would be able to pronounce this a lot better than I have. Through 98 games this year in Japan, he has 15 home runs.
Really?
Yeah, he has 33 games left. The record in whatever league he's in Japan is 55. So what are the odds he's going to hit 5 home runs in 33 games? He's got 50 through 98. In his career, he came up with the Mariners and the Reds. He was a prospect for them. Maybe mid-2000s, late 2000s. In 511 career MLB at-bats, he has 15 home runs.
Just proves you what...
Now, I think, we talked about it off the air?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, Bobby Valentine.
Yep.
Somebody made a comment. Anybody in the MLB...
I mean, anyone in Japan could beat... Any team in Japan could beat any team in the Major League Baseball.
Is that what he said?
I think something
I thought he said any player in Japan could play.
Could play in Major League
Baseball.
Now,
I'll play devil's advocate. And, okay, you put Mike Trout in Japan, or you put Miguel Cabrera in Japan, he's hitting 80 home runs in 98 games.
Well, I think, and when we were talking about this, I said I was reading... I think it was a scout on Major League Scout on ESPN, and he was saying, Japanese baseball leagues are like, it's like 4A. It's better than AAA, but not as good as major leagues. And my argument with that when we talked about it is think about all the stars, the supposed quote-unquote stars that come out of Japan, and who really made it to star status in Major League Baseball.
Hideki Matsui,
Ichiro,
Hideo Nomo.
Yeah, but you look at guys like...
not a lot.
Yeah, Daisuke, he had the name, but he never really lived up to it. And it's... Granted, I can't imagine moving to Japan all of a sudden and having to do my job in another foreign country in front of 30,000 people every night. But actually, my last thing was about the Japanese. My wife brought this up. Do you see the Japanese team that wore denim uniforms?
Is it really a note on there about Japanese? Because that's weird. I didn't know that. Our last notes are both on Japanese.
Yeah, it was on Facebook, and like WEEI posted a picture of it.
Thank you, Jen, for the contribution. By the way.
And she goes, "What the hell? They were denim style uniforms."
Wait, I'm sorry, baseball
uniforms, denim
jeans.
Yeah, like they weren't wearing jeans, but it was denim style. It was the worst.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I wish I remembered the team.
Simple, less is more when it comes to uniforms in my case.
Yeah, absolutely.
The simpler, the better. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cardinals.
Hey, you know what always
Lakers.
You know what always gets me is when the team, like I like it when the team brings back an old uniform. Like the Blue Jays went back to their old unis.
Yep.
I like it when the Athletics go back to their yellow unis that when they were dominating in the 70s they were wearing.
Orioles maybe with the orange.
Orioles with the orange. The Astros went back to. I just think it's
Seattle.
Yeah.
With like the aqua kind of teal.
Yep. I'm all for those. Every once in a while the Royals wear the powder blue, which I think is always sharp. I'm all for those.
No, yeah, I love myself. I love me a good. I always see these like the Padres with their camo uniforms.
Yeah.
I always want to buy them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wear
Brewers when they go back to their.
I love those.
Yeah.
But wearing a baseball uniform for me is like not comfortable and it's heavy.
It is.
I can't I don't know. The older you get, you can't really just wear them out.
I bought a Red Sox blue alternate. I know a lot of people aren't fans of the alternates, but I love the blue.
I love the blue.
And I wore it to a game, and I think it might have been July 4th a couple of years ago. It was a good 140 degrees out. It wasn't comfortable.
Know what I'd love to see them do? Wear the blue with the white pants.
I disagree. I like the blue with the gray a lot.
I do too, but just to kind of switch it up. You know?
Now the only reason I agree with you is I'm not a huge fan of the red. I wish they just went white, gray, and their alternate was blue.
Okay.
Just a personal thing.
Oh, Johnny Gomes just clears the bases. They can swing the bat, man. I think as long as their pitching holds up, I think they're gonna be in a good spot. So. Krugs, we went a little overboard this time. We had a lot to say. I'm sure you have plenty more.
We're done?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how big this is. It usually takes me about 4 hours to get this transferred over to YouTube.
This one might be closer to 6.
Yeah, so it's probably 5 to 6 hours. But why don't we stop it here? Save some stuff for the next time. I know coming up this week we've got CJ's wedding Friday, so I'll see you then. No podcasting
Looking forward
then.
to it.
Long weekend, hopefully.
Live from CJ and Caitlin's wedding.
But we'll have to catch up soon, and we'll continue to tweak this. We'll continue to adjust it. Maybe I've got some editing tools on the laptop to see if I can maybe work some music in.
How about we get some how they throw in quotes from players from interviews?
That's some sound bites. Yeah, man. The only thing I'm not sure about is
might get some people to come on. John Heyman, Buster Olney.
Why not throw an email out there to
someone,
a local guy like a Jim Corsi or I don't know. Let's throw some names out there. Let's just see if we can get someone on.
I want to take it on the road too.
Well, yeah,
we got to find someone to do that. I don't know if that's legal or not. Just pull out microphones in a restaurant and start podcasting.
Who knows? We'll see. I'm sure people have done weirder things. But any last words before we sign off for this Tuesday night?
No. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's only been 2 weeks, but I've got you sit there and you've got 30 different things that we could have talked about that we didn't.
And again, we focused on baseball. I mean, we talked a lot about baseball. I don't know how many people are going to listen to this whole thing, but
we do know other sports. We just get on a tangent in baseball.
Yeah, but you figure
it's in season.
We sat down at 7:20. It's 8:45 right now. So, and it feels like we just started talking. So, but no, for this time, that's Kruger. This is Egg, and thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
All right, see ya.